I just came across some incredible news about a tiny company making a huge leap. authID reports a staggering 415% revenue increase and recurring sales up 5 times. They've landed big new contracts, and the momentum is undeniable. Could this be the next breakout star in cybersecurity? Stay tuned to see why this could change the game.
Gary, thing number 3, authID, ticker AUID, crushes the quarter. New deals on the way. Fill us in.
All right, so authID is a microcap with the fastest, most accurate biometric security in existence. They use passive selfie technology that is correct. It basically has 1 in a billion error rate. So if they did an authentication for every person on the planet, all 8 billion people, they'd be wrong 8 times. Really incredible technology. Over the last 4 quarters, revenue had been in the $200,000 to $300,000 range. This last quarter, the second quarter, $1.44 million. Revenue was up 415% versus last year. Annual recurring revenue rose from 1.2 million to 5.8 million. This was all recurring revenue. It all came from new customers. The company reiterated its guidance for $18 million of bookings this year. Worth pointing out, a year ago, that number was 3 million. So they went 3 million to 9 million, and they're saying 18 million this year. The revenue went from 200,000 2 years ago to 800,000, up 4x last year. Based on my calculations, this doesn't come from the company, but my back of the envelope math says the company will do a minimum of $4.5 million this year. And based on, depending on where their deferred revenue came from last quarter and how much revenue they're going to get from Prove, a new customer where they started billing literally this week, they could easily end up over 5 million. So let's talk about that revenue growth rate, 200,000 up 4x to 800,000. And then at that point, you're talking about maybe up 6 or 7x from there to something in the $4.5 to $5.5 million range. The 4.5 would be the minimum on that. And just an absolute incredible quarter by the company.
Yeah, great to see, Gary. Super exciting, especially when I see annual recurring. Love that, and especially love the model here. And know, obviously, based on the space, solid margins as well. Gary, in terms of the revenue growth, you said, I think, coming from new customers. I mean, were there any big announcements? New announcements? I think, again, as I mentioned, we've had the ups and the downs, right, with the communication coming out of the authID account. But yeah, what do you have to say about that? Anything that you can tell us there?
So, Rob, I think you're really hammering the key issue, both from the negative and the positive. The company has had abysmal communication, and it's caused the shareholder base to be very confused and upset. And the truth is, Wall Street hates confusion. We like certainty. And unfortunately, they didn't communicate all the great things that are happening. But just since last November, so we're talking about roughly the last 9 months or so, they announced a contract with an Indian company for $10 million over 3 years. Worth pointing out, this was a company last year that had $800,000 in revenue. So they signed a $10 million contract with this Indian company last November. In June, they announced a deal with Prove. That deal, Prove, by the way, is one of the global leaders in the authentication space. Their product, their suite of products, is a perfect complement for authID. Every week, they've been doing webinars with authID, and 2 weeks ago, the Prove representative described the authID Prove combination as the silver bullet in authentication. They already have, despite the fact that that deal was announced in June, they already have some of the technology integrated. They're working with a go-live customer with a date expected by this week. It may have actually happened starting last week. They're billing already. They also announced a deal with NEC, the $40 billion Japanese multinational. They together have put together something called the IDX platform. They have unbelievable capabilities and potential. IDX enables a company to authenticate employees from vendors and partners on one platform, regardless of company, location, or device. So imagine you own a warehouse and representatives from another company have to come and drop things off there or pick things up there. You
Mhm.
can authenticate them. This is really important security. Now, you think that's enough? It's not. There's also a successful test that was just completed with tens of thousands of employees at one of the UK's largest retailers. This is a global Fortune 500 company. That's going to result in a long term contract. We expect results or an announcement on that by the end of this year. That's not enough. There's a coming announcement of a huge contract with a Fortune 500 company that's a leader in the benefits space. So, just in 8 months, you've got this giant Indian contract, you have Prove, NEC, a global Fortune 500 retailer in the UK, and a Fortune 500 company that's a leader in the benefits space. In addition to that, management said they're not done. They hinted at faster completion of other coming contracts. I expect that there will be other announcements this year, but management wasn't more specific than that. I don't have details on it, but they were very clear on the conference call that there's more coming. Rob, I don't think in my entire life I have ever seen such a small company make so many large, significant customer contract announcements in a short time. These are big name Fortune 100, Fortune 500, tens of billion-dollar multinational companies. This is a tiny company. They've announced all these deals, and there are people saying, "Oh, well, their technology is unproven." I think their technology has been verified by the tech departments of all of these customers that they've announced. For those of you who are interested, take a look at the company. Unless you're satisfied with your current username, password security, we're all misusing now, and we all know it's not working for anyone.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the continued advancement, right? These contracts, and it's a lot of big wins, as you mentioned, Gary. So super exciting things happening with authID, and I agree. Yeah, there's a big gap, just in security in general, right? From the top down, big business, small business, just old, antiquated username, password, shared password processes. Yeah, it's a great space to be in no matter what. Tons of growth and opportunity.